This evening we're going to start in Daniel chapter 6. If you all want to turn over there. I did chapter 3 this morning. We'll do chapter 6 tonight. When I was looking, trying to figure out what to study, I found out yesterday I was doing tonight's service. And I was kind of frantic looking through here. And I found a lot of different illustrations. I don't have near as many as my dad. But I found one I liked on Florence Chadwick. Anyone ever heard of her? In the 1950s, she was a swimmer. And basically she went around the world and challenged herself to swim across places like the English Channel. In 1951, I believe it was, she decided she was going to swim 26 miles from Catalina to California. Nobody had ever done it up to that point, but she was going to have several boats following her, making sure she wasn't swimming off course. And she got to swimming, and 14 hours into her trip, fog rolled in and she couldn't see anything. And she looked over at her mom in the boat next to her and said, "I don't think I can do it." Her mom said, "No, you can do it. Go ahead. You're close." She swam for another hour and turned back to the boat and said, "I can't do it. I don't know where I'm going. Pull me out of the water." Her mom tried her best to encourage her to keep going, but she wouldn't. They pulled her out of the water less than half a mile from the shore. She got in the boat, they went on to the shore, and she said, "If I could have seen it, I would have kept going." And I thought, how many people give up so close to the end because they can't see where they're going?
Yes.
She had all those boats around her telling her, "You're going the right way, you're almost there," but it wasn't enough. We have to have faith. That's what I preached about this morning. It's hard to do sometimes. The book of Daniel has a lot of good examples about faith. In chapter 6, we'll start with verse 1 again. "It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was the first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because the excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm." Stop there and look at what's going on again. Almost the same thing from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We've got people who wanted this power, and a godly man got put in place instead. So Daniel's going to have to be real careful because he's got people watching him all the time. Just like us, we have people watching us all the time waiting for us to fall. Again, like I said this morning, I get accused a lot of preaching about going through trials. "Then the presidents and the princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him." We've got a good, godly man and a king who can see it, and he's put him in charge. But we've got people who are jealous of him. "Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God." When I was studying, it was amazing how many people had just preached a sermon on this one verse. And every one of them went about the same. If someone's going to find fault in you, make sure it's concerning the law of your God being against the culture.
Amen.
I found a math teacher at Vanderbilt. Every single time he'd give a test in his trig class. I went through a lot of math tests, and I know exactly how hard they are. This story kind of hit home. "Today I'm going to give 2 tests." That's how he started every time. One on trig and one on honesty. And he'd tell his students every time, "I hope you pass them both, but if you can't, fail the one on trig." Because there's a lot of good people in the world that can't do trig, but there's no good people in the world that can't be honest. I thought it went along real well with Daniel here. If we've got to fail something, don't fail by compromising our integrity. I wrote most important test in our life comes after school's out, and most of them are pop quizzes. We run into a lot of trials, a lot of unexpected things pop up, and there are people around watching. How are you going to deal with it? Everyone's waiting to watch you fail. You've got to have faith in God to make sure you pass. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the lion's den. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Again, when you're looking up different things, you find a lot of sermons other people have done. And a lot of people preached on the king. Look at what these people did. All they had to do was come in and kind of sweet talk him a little bit and talk to him like he was the best around. And he let his pride get in the way. He didn't think about what he was actually doing. So he signed a decree that not even he can change. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. This goes back to what I said this morning. Are you willing to compromise or to rationalize what you're doing? If it's me, I'd probably be thinking, well, maybe I should shut those windows. You know, if nobody sees me doing it, then they can't say anything bad about it. I'll still be doing it, but this way I won't get in trouble. But like I said this morning, Billy Graham's quote, one compromise leads to another, and pretty soon you got a life full of compromise. Daniel wasn't willing to compromise. He did exactly what he did before time, because that's what God commanded him to do. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God, which they knew they were going to do beforehand. That's why they had the decree signed. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. They tricked the king, and now they've got Daniel exactly where he wants him. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is, that no decree nor statute which the king establisheth may be changed. And this is where I get to my main 2 points. Why do we get tested? Like I said, Daniel has a lot of good examples about people being tested and overcoming it with faith. But why does God allow us to be tested? Number 1, God's test confronts us with the reality of our own human limitations. We can't do anything. Looking at this from the king's point of view, Daniel has no hope now. He can't change the law. He's got to throw him in the lion's den. And it's going to get worse for him here in just a second. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. In other words, I hope your God you're praying to is as good as you think he is. Of course, Daniel knows he is. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. That's where I said it's going to get worse. Not only can the king not change the law, but they're going to put a stone on top of that entrance. Daniel can't move that stone by himself. Then it gets worse, they seal it. So even if the king wanted to come back and try to help him, he can't because he'll break those seals. There is no humanly way possible that Daniel can get out of this, even though he's got the king, the most powerful man in the empire, as a friend. I wrote, whatever den we're in, you realize real quick exactly where your limitations are. It's hard to picture how you're going to get out of a lot of things if you're not looking to God. Then the king went unto his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and sleep went from him. He couldn't sleep because he had no idea how Daniel was going to survive. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and he went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then Daniel said unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angels, and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. The second reason we get tested is to make us dependent on God. Verse 19 through 22 shows that Daniel had to be dependent on God. There was no other way. The king was exceedingly glad for him and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded that they brought those men which had accused Daniel and cast them into the den of the lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all the people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever in his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. That's where I want to stop. And I want to look at this again with what I had this morning. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego this morning, Daniel tonight. What's so special about them? They were men that were pulled out of captivity, and the king said, you're going to try to help me control your people. Nothing special about them except for they believed in God. They didn't just believe in God, like I said this morning. They believed God. They knew that God was able to deliver them, and they followed God to the end. So tonight I want to tell you to dare to be like Daniel. Three things. Daniel had to make three choices. The first choice, he chose his character over his comfort. It'd been real easy for me, if I were Daniel, like I said, to close those windows and pray in there. But Daniel knew it's wrong. He was serving God, and he didn't care who knew it. Choose discipline over disorder. What would it hurt to not pray for a while? Right? That's what a lot of people would think. Daniel knew, though, his prayer life, he had strict discipline. 3 times a day, he was praying every day. He's not going to compromise. And choose love over life. The verses I read this morning, Jesus said, you can't do it by yourself. All you have to do is follow God, and He'll deliver you. He'll help you through the trials, no matter what they are. Song leader, piano player, come forward. I told someone I had less notes this morning than I had less notes tonight than I had this morning. And they're not supposed to tell you that I'm not as long-winded as you.